Hello. Man, this really gets me fired up. Beginning the broadcast. I don't know why. It's that backbeat. Hello, everybody. How's it going? It's Eric. It's my gamer friends. It's Devin Donder, whom I've spent a lot of time with the last couple of days. And to all those that made it through the holiday season, Silver, it's Gumball Head. How's everybody doing? Huh? I've taken a sort of break off Facebook. Got poked in every once in a while this last week, but I kind of stayed away from it. Let me explain to you guys why before we even get into any of this stuff, before we get into the broadcast, before we get into talking about anything, before we get into communicating left and right and all that stuff. So we all know that memories come up on Facebook, and it's been a rough year for me, right? Well, here we are, just a couple of days away from my 1 year after a one-night relapse from hell. It was a terrifying and terrible evening, but here we are, live on Facebook with a whole new outlook on life, with so many positive things that have happened in life. Tonight's broadcast brought to you by the Michigan Masons. Actually, they didn't bring anything, but that's who I'm giving my shout out to today. Michigan Masons and Shriners Hospitals. That's who I'm going to plug today. And while we're plugging Shriner Hospital and Michigan Masons, why don't we plug the Children's Hospital in Grand Rapids too? Helen DeVos Children's Hospital. Both organizations have brought me great joy. Both organizations have brought me happiness and safety, and they have also brought me joy. And they've also changed my life. So DeVos is taking very good care of my children. It's a long drive, but Helen DeVos Hospital is taking good care of my kids. Bronson Health in Kalamazoo. But you can donate to the Children's Hospital. You can donate to the Michigan Masons, and you can donate to the Shriners as well. So if you're feeling festive after the fact, toss some money their way. I don't know if anybody donates after I plug their organization or not, but that's the digs. Next Sunday at 6 whenever live, I'm going to give the name of the winner of the gift card from Demons Behind Me. I was going to do it today, but I didn't communicate with them. I stayed off my phone for the most part today. Just kind of focused on my day. So went to a meeting today. Let me talk about the meetings this weekend. Holy crap. So I was like super bummed on Friday. I was like, man, Friday was a good day. But I went to a meeting Friday night, and I had to. I needed a meeting Friday night, and I went, and I was like, all right, I'm almost to my year. I'm going to say I'm almost to my year. I'm going to let them all know, yeah, I'm super proud of it. And I was like super pissed off that I didn't get a coin. I'm like, what? I'm almost to a year, but here's the thing. I'm not to a year yet, so I wouldn't have given me a coin either. Screw you, pal. So good. See, throwing that stuff out there, that makes a difference. Sometimes I do give a shout out to people that people have benefited from, the organizations that people have benefited from. I know Demons Behind Me, people have benefited from that. I have. Shriners, absolutely. The Masons. Ted Yenham, his clothing, benefited from it. I wore it on the news, worn it in broadcasts. Brian Cook's become a very good friend of mine. Associate, more so than friend. It's not like we hang out in talk about the weather together. But anyways, I'm sidetracked. It's easy to do. We all know that. So, but I'm full of joy today. I'm full of happiness, and I'm full of smiles, and I'm full of glee. Because that meeting Friday night, I've not seen that many people at an AA meeting in a long time. And I mentioned that. I was like, hey, I haven't seen this many people around the table in a very long time. And it was like one of those moments where it's like, hell yeah. Well, last week, Sunday, and the week before, I had said it doesn't matter what kind of meeting you go to. If you feel like you need a meeting, go. And I said that in the AA meeting. And I was expecting a lot of people just kind of, what? But they didn't. And they were very receptive of what I had to say. It's odd standing in front of or sitting in front of that many people and just feeling comfortable talking, While I'm at it, let's do my takeaway from that meeting. I always do a takeaway. I always do a little assessment, type it down in my phone. And let's see here. I can't do that one because that's part of tonight's topic. Oh yeah. So perfect example here. Someone had said after I had talked, and I'm not trying to take credit for anything, but they had mentioned this, and I think it came from something that I had said. Some of the rough stuff in life can strengthen our recovery. It's absolutely true. It really is true. We talked about in a meeting today about time. Here's the biggest thing: time. We're all time thieves. All of us addicts are time thieves. We might not have stolen money or a car or drugs or excuse me. Wow, monster. Alcohol. We may not have stolen physical or material things, but we've stolen time from those that love us and care about us. And we've taken away substantial amounts of time over our duration of life from the people that care. And how are we ever going to be able to repay that back? We're not. It's not going to happen. We can't. What we can do moving forward is try to make up for that time. We can try to spend a little bit more time with our kids. We can try to spend a little bit more time with our friends and with our family and with our loved ones. Okay. And here's why I say that. I hear a lot of times in meetings and a lot of times in one-on-ones, a lot of time in family counseling, people asking, hey, so I'm struggling because I find myself, bored a lot. Fill your time up. Someone talked to me today about, I have an unplanned day where I don't have anything to do. Well, what would you have normally done on this day? Oh, well, I would have went to work. But you didn't go to work, or you're not going to go to work, right? And they were like, no. So my advice was this: go to the gym, go to the library, go eat ice cream somewhere, go to the library. And I said this, go to the library and pick up a book that you would never pick up. And I said, pick up the book Pretty Little Liars and open up to page 171 and read it. And if it intrigues you enough, go to page 172. If you get 5 pages in, go back to the beginning of the book and read it. I've never read the book. It just came to mind. I don't even know if it's a real book, but it was a suggestion. Or go to a music store, throw a record on, because most of the music places nowadays, you can pre-listen to the music, throw a record on of a genre you've never listened to. I like metal. I like punk rock. I like EDM. I like dubstep. I like trap music. I like anything with a beat, really. But I do find myself listening to country sometimes, and that's okay too. I'm not anti-country, but it's not my go-to music. So find something to fill your time. If you're always busy, it's, and when I say that, you have to be very careful about what you fill your time with. It's got to be wholesome and good. I'm not saying, go hang out with your buddies who are drinking in the garage and just hang out with them because you spend enough time in a barbershop, you're going to get your haircut, right? But fill your time with wholesome things. Especially if you're single, or if you are going through a breakup, or you're going through, a separation or anything like that. If you find yourself with spare time, find something to do. Video games, good option. Go see a live band, go see a comedian, take yourself on a date, go see a movie. There's always time to do something. And, another thing that really works well is go park in a parking lot. And when I say parking lot, I like Ashtamo Park. Go park there. Put your car parked, lean your seat back, close your eyes for 20 minutes. You don't have to fall asleep, but just close your eyes for 20 minutes. Clear your head. Or contemplate everything that's going on in your life. But the important part of that is don't use afterwards. Don't drive to the liquor store. Don't go to Loom and buy some pot. Don't, I'm not saying clear your head, fill it with shit, and then act on your cravings. Just don't do that. But how do you stay away from those cravings? Well, if you're acknowledging your cravings, you're already one step ahead of the game. So let's talk about SAD syndrome real quick, and then we'll get back into my little takeaway here, okay? SAD, seasonal affective disorder. Seasonal affective disorder. I had it pulled up here. There's a really seasonal depression is another way to say it. There's a really long term for it. And this was suggested to me a couple of weeks ago, and I just didn't get around to talking about it. And not that I think that anything that we do talk about is more important than SAD syndrome, but this probably could have been a great leeway into the holidays. But there were some other things that we need to talk about. But seasonal affective disorder, what is SAD? Okay, well, first of all, if you feel down in the dumps during the winter months, you're sad. You're sad. That's seasonal affective disorder. Okay, and it is a depression that's brought on by shorter days, less sunlight, lack of vitamin D, lack of sunshine, lack of interaction, lack of. I mean, you think about it. I leave before the sun comes up. I come home as the sun's going down. I don't get to see the sunshine unless I'm working out in the yard. And if it's snowing and blowing, I don't want to work out in the yard, right? And when I say the yard, I mean at work. I don't mean in my yard because I don't do yard work very often. That's going to have to change, though. I know that for a fact. But it's a type of depression that's experienced by people in the winter months. Now, I don't know about Arizona and in California. I do know that Seattle, the city of depression, is substantially affected by that because it rains all the time. It's not always sunny in Seattle. So, and here are some of the symptoms. I'm just going to read them real quick. And this is from the NHS website. Sadness, gloomy outlook on life, feeling hopeless, worthless, and irritable, loss of interest or pleasure in activities you used to enjoy, low energy, difficulty sleeping or oversleeping, carb cravings and weight gain, thoughts of death or suicide. Okay, so out of all of those, how do we overcome that? Okay, well, number one, let me say this. You don't need to be clinically diagnosed as seasonal affective depressed, okay? The website that I got this information from specifically states it's usually self-diagnosable. If you are a little bit more down in the dumps than you normally are, it's probably because of the weather. A lot of us are a lot more chipper and a lot more upbeat when the sun is shining and we get to spend some time in the sun. That sunshine makes our bodies feel good. Sunshine radiates into our skin and it makes us feel amazing, and I always like to think when the seasons start to change and we start to come into spring, we look at all the tears that we cried in the seasons prior. Let them water those seeds that we're planting for the upcoming seasons, and I'm sure there's a meme out there somewhere, but that's the truth. This time of year is terrible. It's gray outside. You don't get a whole lot of sunshine. Thankfully, Michigan's been amazing this year. It's been unseasonably warm. The weather hasn't been terrible. There's been a few days, but I mean, it's tolerable right now. Those who are out west or those who are farther on the East Coast, if you've got a lot of snow, sorry to hear that. It's your turn. But how do we make ourselves happy? Well, as we all know, the Buddha Den is a basement. It's a room with three windows. Okay, and the walls are lightly painted. Okay, we got this banner that hangs above us, and I got the video games playing, and I've got different lights around here. And I take the camera off and shine them around, but nobody wants to get sick watching a video, especially with me in the video. But I have different light bulbs in here. Now, there are some things that you can do. Now, they have light bulbs specifically designed to offset SAD syndrome. They're called sunlight bulbs or sunshine bulbs, okay? They're fluorescents, typically a 4-foot fluorescent, but they give off a whiter, more crisp light. And the radiation off of that light is a almost a bluish light or yellowish light, which is more resemblant of sunshine. We in this day and age are so prone or so subject to LED lighting that we don't realize that that lighting that surrounds us affects us. The warehouse that I work in is very dimly lit. It's, there are dark corners, and in those dark corners, you just kind of get the chills when you go into those corners. I always have a flashlight with me because I'm afraid of the dark anyways, but those corners you just kind of don't want to be in, because they just feel weird. But I also have an Edison bulb. An Edison bulb gives off a yellow light. The Edison bulb is, I believe it's it gives off the light of 60 watts. It's in my desk lamp, but it's just got a weird filament to it. One of those really cool filaments. It's a clear bulb. It's just got that rad freaking electronic looking filament in it. Something that you would think was around when they first founded the light bulb. Kind of like looking at a toaster, but it's providing light instead of heat. Light creates heat, and heat in different temperatures can affect our well-being as well. That's why I say, like, I'm sorry, I got a message and it sidetracked me. But the different types of lights that we're prone to every day. Old school fluorescent bulbs. Think about this: when you're walking down the hallway, let's say in a hospital, and there's a transformer going out in a fluorescent light, it kind of does that and reminds you of like a really scary movie. Okay, so that's one of those mindset effectiveness situations where you associate that vibrating light that you can feel and that you can hear and that you can visibly see with shit that's going to go wrong, right? Audible cues. For me, air raid siren, oh my gosh, it's the most terrifying sound in the world. There's a song that has it. There's a Five Finger Death Punch song, and I know a lot of people don't like them, but I didn't ask. Wow, I'm snarky today. But there's a Five Finger Death Punch song that comes on that is it starts off with the air raid siren. I always skip past that part, or I don't listen to that song at all. It's a good song. I don't know what song it is. Actually, I'm sorry. It's not Five Finger Death Punch. It's Slipknot. But it starts off with the air raid siren. I can't stand it. If I hear it on TV, that's why I haven't seen the movie The Purge, because that sound just scares the hell out of me. With everything that's going on in the world around me, you can understand why. It's terrifying. So, how do we counteract seasonal affective disorder? How do we get around it? What do we have to do in order to what do we have to do to get away from that? Well, we already know that we can change our light bulbs. What else can we do? Well, short of turning all the lights on in the house, here's another option. Go outside. Walk outside. It's gray. It's overcast. Go outside. Breathe in some fresh air. Give yourself 10 seconds outside if you're a basement dweller like me. Just step outside and enjoy the weather for a minute. I enjoy it when it's snowing and blowing. Not when I'm driving, but when I'm out in it for a few minutes, I appreciate it. I actually drove by the airport the other night, Friday night, and I was tickled pink. I was thrilled to death. I saw all the lights in the airport, and I get so excited when I see that, because it's like, what, excuse me, what an amazing representation of life. Seeing all the red lights, the blue lights, the yellow lights, the flashing lights, the big lights, the small lights, the fog lights on top of the tower, all those lights. It's like, wow, that's so cool. I've always loved lighting. It's probably because I'm afraid of the dark. Who knows? But what else can we do? So go to the tanner. The tanner, I don't advocate for it, but you don't have to stand in there for 17 minutes and turn into a holiday turkey. You can go in there for 2 or 3 minutes. And a lot of the gyms out there, like, it's the new year, let's face it, some of you people already own a gym membership that you've never fucking used anyways. But upgrade your gym membership and use the tanner at the gym. Go into the tanner for 3 or 4 minutes. Turn the lights on. Close your eyes. Just stand there and exist for a minute. And just feel that ultraviolet light seep into your body, that warmth that radiates off that light. It works really well with eczema too, but the tanner is going to give you representation of what sunlight actually is. So it's going to give you fake sunlight. This is the time of year where more antidepressants are prescribed, and this is why I'm given all these options and suggestions prior. Prozac, Zoloft, now I'm drawing a blank, but regardless, we know Xanax, that's the one I was looking for. There's your top 3, Zoloft and Xanax, and those are the top 3. And when you hear of someone being on those, and I'm not saying they're bad or good or whatever, I've said it before, self-care starts with doing what you got to do, but so many people go see the doctor this time of year and they're like, I'm really down, I'm really depressed. Do you not think that big pharma and the doctors are going to prey on that opportunity to enable you to start taking medications? Okay. And it all works together. There's a perfect marriage, and some people are on them for maintenance meds and some people abuse them because it's easy to do. Xanax being one of those. ADD medications, another one. So Vyvanse, oh my gosh, Vyvanse ADHD medication, helper buddies, but these high anxiety medications are easily addicted to, and we don't realize it till it's too late. We don't realize that we're addicted to these medications until we try to get off of them. And then we try a couple of days and we call our doctor and we tell them, oh, I'm having these symptoms. And they're like, did you try quitting this? And you're like, yes. And they're like, okay, we'll come in and see me. Then you go in there and they're going to say to you, I got this different medication that we're going to try to use. It's a low dose, but we'll wean you off of that one and we'll start you on this one. Next thing you know, you're at the highest fucking dose of the antidepressant that they put you on to take you off the other one. So how else is it going to work? We don't think about those cycles. We think about the way that we think about modern medicine, and we think about that being our savior to things, and we don't think about the health effects. Big pharmaceutical companies are not profitable if they don't sell their drugs. I'm not here to stand on a soapbox. I'm not here to push anything. I'm just saying the people who benefit the most from selling drugs and selling alcohol, both legal and not legal, the people who benefit most are the people that develop these drugs and this alcohol. The law nationwide to buy cigarettes is 21. I'm so torn between those two things. Like, I support it 100%. I think it's fantastic. I just don't think that they thought it through before they implemented it as much. I'm sure they did think it through, but they didn't inform America early enough. Being a vapor and occasional tobacco user, and next what are they going to do? Put a 18-year-old label on energy drinks? I mean, that's a lot of control that they have, and they have the power to do that. And I was informed the other day that they're looking into the grandfather law to say, okay, anybody who is 18 prior to this date is going to be okay, but stores aren't going to want to be like, okay, well, if you were 18 before December 25th, 2019, then you can buy cigarettes. They're not going to do that. They'll be like, nope, 21 and over. Sorry, it's the law. Now who's in control of this? Now, let me step to the other side. If you're old enough to serve your country and you can enlist in the military at 16, you can go to boot camp at 17, as long as you're emancipated or as long as your parents deem you okay to go, you can go into the military at 17 years old, depending on when your 18th birthday falls. So you can go overseas and you can fight wars in other countries, but you can't buy cigarettes at your grocery store or at your liquor store or at your gas station here in America. You can buy them over there. The Kurds don't care if you buy in cigarettes at the PX barracks. It's not like they're going to be like, nope, national order says you got to be 21 to buy cigarettes. I mean, if you're in international waters on a cruise, technically speaking, you can drink on a cruise ship. How would I know? But that's the truth. So how does that tie into SAD? Well, how many 18-year-olds do you know that immediately quit smoking, not by their choice? So now they're going to be cranky and angry because they can't get their nicotine and they can't get their tobacco. And they're dealing with seasonal depression. So there's a whole lot of grumpy and edgy 18-year-olds out there, and 17 and probably 16-year-olds and 20-year-olds that are 2 months away from their 21st birthday that have been smoking for 3-4 years, and now they can't until their 21st birthday. Is there a workaround? Absolutely. Find someone who's 21 or over to go to the store for you. But how quickly will you burn those bridges? Hey, I'm gonna run to the vapor shop. Does anybody need any vapor juice or pods or whatever? You can buy accessories, but you can't buy the product itself. You can buy vape pods, you can buy wire, you can buy cotton, you can buy the modified units, you can buy the Juul, but you can't buy the cartridges. And so many gas stations sell those separately anyways. Yeah, sure, you can buy this, but you can't have the other half. Weird, right? Okay. So that was a unwarranted rant. That was an unwarranted direction of complaints, but it's the truth. You know, they didn't give us a chance to prepare for it. So if that's the case, are these 21-year-olds legally allowed to go in, or under 21-year-olds legally allowed to go in and buy Nicorette to try to keep themselves off of tobacco? Can they do that? You got to be 21 to buy non-alcoholic beer and non-alcoholic champagne unless it's labeled juice. Difficult. Relapse is planned. What? Relapse is planned? Yes. Subconsciously or unconsciously. But you don't wake up one morning and just decide I'm going to relapse. There's shit that happens in your life, red flags and triggers that we as addicts ignore, that all of a sudden one day it comes to the popping point, kind of like a pimple, and you just use. So that's kind of been a topic of conversation in some of our meetings lately. And I'm not trying to give too much information about these meetings, and I don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable. So if I'm saying anything that's uncomfortable relating to the meetings, please put aside and say, hey, stop talking about it. I don't think that there is anything, and I try to utilize it as a teaching point. But truth be told is what we say in meetings should be left in meetings. I don't say names. I give very bleak information, and I stick to the topic as best as I can. But it's true. It is absolutely true, because all of those triggers, multiple triggers, line up and they start to work with each other, and then all of a sudden, boom, you got a relapse. Okay. Coming into my 1 year, there's been a lot of concern from friends and family. I'm good. I'm doing okay. I'm reaching out. I'm talking on the microphone. I'm acknowledging those red flags that are potentially looming, and doing my best to make sure that I don't act on those, and I'm not acting on those, and I'm doing my very best, because I have a lot of people that rely on me, and a lot of people that want to see me successful in my sobriety, especially as hard as I push sobriety on people. I don't tell anybody that is actively using, you should stop using. I never do that. I never, ever do that. I always say, hey, if you ever decide that you want to stop, let me know. We'll do what we can. Okay. But I don't ever voice my opinion on somebody who's actively using, because it's none of my business. You know, if it's someone that I love, I say, hey, maybe you should back off a little bit, but I would never, ever say to somebody, you need to quit, because people quit when they're ready, not when they're told to. And that was with me. It was the same way. When I decided it was time for me to stop, well, no, that's not true. I was informed that I needed to stop, but this time is so much easier now because I'm doing it for me. I'm not doing it for anybody else. I'm doing it for me. And that's what's important this time around. Sleep on suggestions. If someone gives you a suggestion before you give feedback, sleep on it. Wake up tomorrow, ponder again while you're brushing your teeth or in the shower, washing your hair. I've been washing my beard regularly. This is weird. I look good. I think I look good with much love to you, Joe. I think I look good with facial hair, but I'm looking forward to shaving it in the spring. I don't know. We'll see. But it does help. So that wasn't a sidetrack. This is a pondering moment. This is an opportunity for me to think in the mornings when I'm scrubbing this bad boy. I'm doing this, and I'm making sure that I'm using the particular shampoo or conditioner or soap on it that I like. Heinrich's beard wash, by the way, is amazing. Let's see here. You can take what you want from me. You you right now, you can take what you want from me. Leave my sobriety alone. Leave it alone. I don't care who you are, what your agenda is, but don't fuck with my sobriety. Don't mess with anybody's sobriety, whether you're active, in recovery, opinionated, or whatever. If you know someone in recovery, don't try to take that away from them. When I say that, it's simply this. It's just one shot on Christmas. No, it's not cool. I'm in recovery. Yeah, but one shot isn't going to kill you. No, it might not kill me right now, but tomorrow it might lead me to relapse. So, if you know someone in recovery, be respectful of that. They're not going to tell you that you need to dye your hair because there's grays. They're not going to tell you that you need to switch to mid-grade in your car. They're not going to tell you that you need to split up your bank accounts and keep $10 in each one. They're not going to tell you that shit. Don't tell them how to live their lives. It's happened recently, and that's why it's a point that I had to make. One drink isn't going to kill you. No, but one drink could incarcerate me for a very long time. One drink could put me in jail. One drink could kill me. It could kill me. Because when I hear one drink, I mean, one drink to me is a pint, a fifth, a half gallon, not a can of whatever, okay? So that's another thing. People don't understand the extent of our use in the past. One hit off this joint isn't going to hurt you. Come on, let's do a bump. Let's do a line. Here's a couple of pills. Take them. You'll feel better. No, you're just putting coal in the train car of the pain. Don't fuel the pain train for people. Is that a fucking llama? Excuse me. I have the hiccups tonight. Never give advice that you're not willing to take yourself. I am terrible about this, but I'm mindful of it. When I relapsed, I had literally given advice on how not to relapse at that particular meeting. I'm not discrediting anything that I've ever said in these broadcasts. I'm not discrediting anything that's going on up here. What I'm saying is now I'm taking my advice. Now I'm giving the advice. Now I'm listening to the advice that I'm taking. One of the good things about the Gumball Head broadcast is I get to work through the problems that I've had recently and figure the shit out on my own. So if you're not willing to take your own advice, don't give the advice. I say that in a clinical sense. I say that in a meeting sense. If you're sitting in an AA meeting or any meeting or Gamblers Anonymous meeting or whatever, don't give advice if you're not going to take the advice yourself. Don't give advice if you don't have firsthand experience with that advice that you're about to give. Just don't do it. Don't be a dick. I read it somewhere. Yeah, okay, great. Did you apply it to your personal life? No, you didn't? Then stop. Stop doing it, period. Okay? I hear a lot of advice from people that have never had a drink in their life. I get it. Why is this so difficult for you to quit drinking? Why is this so difficult? Well, it's not difficult for me to quit drinking if I don't start drinking. The difficulty comes from after I start. It's hard for me to stop. The difficulty is not sitting there and stopping using heroin. The difficulty comes when you have 2 ambulances, 4 cop cars, and your family and friends hovering around you while they're doing CPR and administering Narcan on you. It's not going to the casino and running $100 through the slot machine. It's the fact that now you don't have enough gas money to get back and forth to work for the week. Okay, we as addicts, we don't think about that stuff until it's too late. Our family and friends look at it and they're like, what the fuck are you doing? Don't do that. And we're like, whatever, it'll be fine. It'll be okay. I say it'll be fine. It'll be okay all the time. The truth behind it is I'm not going to say it's going to be fine. It's going to be okay if I don't believe it's going to be fine or okay. Now, in my drinking days, when I say it's going to be fine, it's going to be okay, that was I lied. I straight up frickin' bullshitted people. Everything's going to work out. Everything's going to be fine. Sobriety, however, has brought me the ability to think with a clear mind and execute with a clear heart. When I say that, I mean when I speak, I'm speaking with the best of intentions. I do my best to, anyways. It's not always the case, but I do my best. But I always attempt to speak with a clear and open mind, give advice with a clear and open heart, and just try to see things from both sides. I've been advocating this Gumball Head broadcast a lot lately to people that I don't know, and I'm really taking a huge risk because I'm putting myself out there. And okay, time out with the goat. It doesn't look like a goat on my small ass screen. Okay, quit laughing at me about the goat. Those that can't see this, I don't know if this doesn't transfer over onto the web page, but on the right hand side of my screen there's a goat, and I was wondering if that was a goat, or I actually asked if it was a llama. It's a goat, and then now I read it. It's a goatee, silly. Okay, all right, stop it. But yeah. Anyway. Oh, you guys are amazing. I love every one of you so much. The people that are in the video right now, let me just say this. I know each one of you personally. I talk to each one of you semi-regularly. Let's see here. Make sure I'm not lying to anybody. Yeah, talk to each one of you at bare minimum once a month. Some of you I talk to every single day. I want to say this. You have helped my recovery be meaningful. You've helped me in my recovery in ways that you're never, ever going to understand. And I know that the sentiment is there. When I say I don't want to let people down, you are the people that I don't want to let down. And I have let you down in the past, and I don't want to let you down again. It's going to happen in one capacity or another, but it's not my goal. It's not my intention. I am going to let people down in life, and that's just life. And there's nothing that we can do about it. We just pick it up and move on. Bad advice, good advice, bad choices, good choices. We all make them. It's just we're looked at differently. Couple of analogies that I recently heard is this. Number one, I just used this a little while ago. I was talking to a guy in a video game lobby, and we were talking about rice, and we were talking about quinoa, and quinoa/rice. I just heard this. The comedian says this: rice or quinoa is good if you want to eat 2,000 of something. That was one of those things that I thought was really funny. And not only that, but I'm gonna anger some of the professionals out there, because there's a big difference in the school of thought when it comes to, is addiction a disease? Is addiction disease? I guess it depends on to what extent you've lived addiction, to what extent you lived recovery, to what extent you've done research, to what extent makes you a professional. Okay? Because there are psychologists that teach recovery, or that teach addiction to be, it is not a disease, it's a choice. And then there are substance use disorders professionalists out there that will specifically state that, yes, it is a disease. My thought process is, yes, it's a disease. Okay? You can change my mind, or you can talk to me about it anytime you want. But anything that changes your body chemistry inorganically is a disease. It's also the only disease that you can get yelled at for having. You don't believe me? I'm not going to yell at you for having lupus. I'm not going to say, why do you have cancer? But why are you such a drunk? Why are you a meth head? How many times have we heard that as addicts? We get yelled at for having this disease. Now, I'm not trying to cushion the blow with that statement and saying, justifiably so, we can yell at our fellow addicts because they choose to be addicts. We don't choose to be addicts. We just don't know how to get help sometimes. That's just the God's honest truth. We just don't know how to ask for help, or we're too proud to ask for help. So, of course, those that are in this room right now know that the follow-up for that is at the end of the month, I'm unveiling Hold the Line for public safety and first responder professionals. I reached out again today to 5 or 6 other people, started explaining the program. It is not a recovery program. I have to state that up front because it's not a recovery program. There are recovery elements to the program because they work, similar to SMART, similar to RAIN. SMART, S-M-A-R-T, RAIN, R-A-I-N. You can research those on your own. I don't need to talk about those right now. But those are incorporated in the program that I'm trying to develop, that I'm working on. If anybody in here has any suggestions, feedback, or think it's a terrible idea, let me know. I'm taking everything into consideration with this program because I want it to be effective and I want it to work. And I want to implement this in the areas that I'm focusing and that I'm targeting now, while we are aware of the fact that we are depressed. Because in July, when we're overwhelmed with work and we're running 20 calls a day, I don't want people to be like, fuck, I don't want to go to that meeting. I don't want to go to Hold the Line tonight because Joe Smith is going to piss and moan about the cardiac arrest that we just ran, and Officer S. Strychnine is going to bring up this and that and the other thing. Okay, it needs to be out there. There's so much stigma with substance use disorders. Difficult to get the help you need because of that. Absolutely. And that's what the whole WWMT broadcast was about, was the fact that it's difficult. And if we could focus on the underlying elements of public safety and the fact that PTSD can cause addiction versus saying you're an addict because you have PTSD, then that's just a little bit of a different approach. So I was sitting in the AA meeting last night reading my business card, and it says understanding addiction through obscurities, a unique way of understanding addiction through obscurities. Sometimes you guys understand those obscurities that I come with. You understand that there's an abstract way of looking at things. My brain doesn't work like the normal common person. My brain doesn't work like a lot of normal people because my brain is hyperactive 24/7. If I'm playing a video game, I assure you I'm not thinking about where I have to run to kill somebody. I'm thinking of that too. Where to run when I kill somebody playing the video game, not in real life. Dodged a bullet there. Another bad joke. But when I say that, I'm not just thinking about that. I'm thinking about 1,000 other things at once too. And that's the way my brain works. That's why it's Gumball Head. Questions, comments, concerns? I have no giveaways to give away this week. I apologize. Of course, I'm going to wait till towards the end of the broadcast to state that I'm not giving anything away, but I don't have anything right now. Nothing to give away. I've given away stickers. I've given away patches. I've given away t-shirt. I've given away bracelets. And next week, I'll be giving away the gift card to Demons Behind Me, the inspirational clothing website. With that being said, we're going to part ways. Let me get some feedback from you guys and find out whether or not you think that it's a good idea for me to post on the webpage pre-recorded meditations, 10 to 20 minutes a pop. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Sometimes people just want to meditate. My meditation voice is much different than my speaking voice. But if you guys think that it's a good idea, if you guys want to hear those meditations and have them accessed at your fingertips, I'm contemplating recording them 10 to 20 minutes, like I said. And it'll just be a handful at a time when I get a few, get some of that downtime that I was talking about earlier in the broadcast. 10 to 20 minutes sitting down, talking about doing those meditations. And I'll post them on Facebook and to the Gumball Head page. Give me your feedback. Let me know what you think. You don't have to do it over here in the comments. You can do it in a direct message or private message. You can do it wherever you want. Just let me know what you think of that. I'll draw from some of the Buddhist books that I have. I also anticipate putting some of the YouTube meditations that I utilize up in the resources page on the Gumball Head website. With that, we're going to part ways. I love you guys. I think you're amazing. Stay sober, stay strong, stay focused, stay sober. Guys, keep being amazing. I like this song too. I love you all. I'll see you next Sunday. That was awkward.